Hello everybody, what's going on? This is Marcus and we are back for the top 8 best of 3 set against Tim, also known as iZocker. And yeah, this is the top 8 of the German VGC 16 practice tournament. We managed to get first seed in Swiss with a 4-1 record. The team I'm using, as you can see on the bottom screen, or as you could just see on the bottom screen, double restricted mons are Evoltal and Groudon. Unfortunately, Evoltal not really putting too much pressure on my opponents today. It didn't really do too well, but Groudon definitely strong. And let's see, so my opponent's team has a Mega Mawile. His restricted mons are Xerneas and Kyogre, and he has double Genies, so yeah, interesting stuff here. Potentially also a Mega Gengar. Now, if you've been following my VGC 16 lives, you can probably remember that I already exploited the strategy of Shadow Tag plus the Primals in one video there. Since yes, Shadow Tag really nice, prevents you from switching obviously, and then firing off Eruptions and Water Spout is pretty nice since there's hardly anything that can switch on that. So let's see if he can manage to pull that off right here. I do not have any ghost types or anything like that to prevent that from happening, so I have to watch out here. I think leading with Crobat could be nice, at least for the first game, to scout out his moves. You know what, maybe there's something better than Crobat actually. Maybe I could lead with Leopard instead. Okay, so we're leading Leopard, and then I need something to do stuff. Yeah, I think Evoltal could be good. And then in the back I would have Groudon and Mawile. Okay, so as long as he goes for his Gengar lead right here. Ooh, once again, I almost withdrew something here. So you have to click confirm. Very important to remember, since yeah, there's no software at events at like regionals in Europe and at Premier Challenges even in the US, so you have to watch out for that. But yeah, let's see. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he brought. He went 3-2 in Swiss, so only one more loss, and he leads off with double Genies. Now that could make for an interesting matchup. Yeah, it's important in the first game to scout out what items he has, like is it Choice Scarf Landorus, is it, I don't know, Assault Vest, but Intimidate goes off before Dark Aura, so that doesn't really give us too much of a fan idea, since my Xerneas is not running max speed, but if I was max speed then we would know if he was Scarf right now. Now, I kinda wanna just go for the Fake Out on his Thunderous, I guess, and I also want to knock off something here. Now I'm actually running Life Orb, physical attacking Evoltal with Knock Off, Sucker Punch, Protect, and Tailwind. It didn't really do too hot today though, so I'm not sure if it's that good. I could try to set up a Tailwind, and that could really help us since we do have Taunt on our Leopard. Yeah, you know what? We're setting up the Tailwind. We're doing it. But he withdraws Thunderous, interesting play here, and goes straight into Mawile, so now we're intimidated twice, but we do have Foul Play on our Leopard that obviously yeah, ignores our own attack stats, but yeah, Fake Out here onto that Landorus would have been perfect. And he goes for the U-turn, which could be an indication that he is indeed Choice Scarf, but he could also just be Max Speed Assault Vest with U-turn. Hits the Leopard, but we are Focus Sash, so we hang on here. And let's see what he switches into. The first thing to note is that he did not bring both the restricted mons, so it's either Kyogre or Xerneas there, which is pretty interesting then, because I think having with Evoltal you would draw in Xerneas, and with like having Groudon you would draw in Kyogre, but I'm really interested in seeing what he decided to go for here. Now, yeah, this is kind of tough, because he could just go for a Play Rough to knock my Evoltal out with his Mawile. So I'm thinking about switching out. Yeah, I could switch into my Groudon. and I will go for a foul play here onto that Thunderous to deal some damage. And yeah, by bringing out Groudon, I don't really think that I am in danger too much right now. He could go for a play rough, that would deal some damage, but yeah, Groudon looks like a pretty safe switch into Thunderous and Mawile, since like it's immune to Thunder Wave, to Thunderbolt, and even to like Volt Switch in case he wants to play that game, which would make some sense with Mega Gengar, I guess, so you can bring yourself into positions where you trap interesting stuff, but we're not really sure if he is Mega Gengar to begin with. So, just switching in that Groudon, and let's see what he goes for. Foul play on Thunderous just to get off some damage, I guess. I mean, there's not too much Leopard could have done. I could have gone for the taunt, but yeah, I don't know. So as he actually withdraws Thunderous, now let's see what comes in there. And it's that Kyogre, wow. So good read here, switching in into our Groudon. And so he gets up his weather, and we get that foul play, which is kind of neat, but yeah, let's see. So Primordial C activates, and the Mawile goes Mega now. Let's hope he doesn't take out our Leopard. And okay, so he didn't go for the Sucker Punch, and we will get off that foul play onto Kyogre, which still does some nice damage, and Iron Head on the Leopard. Okay, so he could have gone for the Sucker Punch there, but decided to go for that Iron Head. Still takes out a Leopard, and now we have to come up with something. I do think switching in Yveltal could be good. Ooh, I do have like some plan, but our Groudon can't really do too much right now. Okay, so what I could do here is switch into Yveltal and use knockoff on the Mawile, predicting his Thunderous or Landorus to come in. However, this is kind of risky, you know? But I could still go for it, since we could knock out his Kyogre with foul play, in theory, but we don't have that, so in case he just attacks, that would be pretty bad. But oh well. Sucker Punch though might be able to take him out there, I guess. So I could also just go for the Sucker Punch. However, if he switches Mawile out into his Thunderous, then we are in we have a problem, because like Groudon cannot touch Thunderous in rain. But you know what? I think we're going for it. We're doing it. Okay, so going into Yveltal, and yeah, I'm just really hoping. This Sucker Punch has to KO Kyogre. So we'll do that, and also Earth Power the Mawile in case he protects Kyogre and stays in with Mawile. So we would get the KO that way. But yeah, he could switch into Lando and ruin our day here with that Intimidate. But let's see. Okay, so he withdraws Kyogre, which is interesting. Did not expect that. And goes into Landorus with that slot. Now that is kind of interesting. So he's probably going to protect his Mawile, I would guess. But he doesn't. Okay, so we will just get the free KO with Earth Power, and he doesn't even go for the Sucker Punch. So maybe he thought that we were a physical Groudon and he wanted to get off that Intimidate, but we are actually special, so Earth Power knocks out that Mawile. Valuable information for him for the next game. But really nice start here in this game for us. So my Yveltal though is physical, so that is intimidated. So yeah, I'm not sure like what will be the standard set on Groudon, but I think at the moment is also fair to keep in mind like both physical and special. And on Yveltal it can really be anything. It can be physical, like I'm running with Sucker Punch knockoff. It could be like purely special with like Snarl, Dog Pulse, and a Bolivian Wing, or it could just be like full support with Foul Play. So yeah, Yveltal, I'm not really sure how well this thing is actually going to be, but I'm liking it so far. However, in certain matchups, like especially against Xerneas, it doesn't always pull its weight, but we will see how the metagame will develop, and yeah, I can definitely see it like having, like it certainly has its niche, and I could see it having its place on certain teams. So right now he could either go into Kyogre, and that is what he's going to do here, to get up his weather once again. Now, Sucker Punch will not KO this Kyogre after the -1. And, I kinda wanna... Yo, is there one last turn of Tailwind? I have to think real quick. We led with Leopard and Yveltal, and we switched into... We used Tailwind, then we switched into Groudon, and then we came back in. I don't think there should be Tailwind up, but wow, what a mistake to make. Yeah, there's nothing we can really do to prevent him from going for Origin Pulse here, I think. I could switch out and sack off my Groudon, but then he can switch out his Kyogre and bring it in later on. So that would be annoying. Yeah, Origin Pulse should deal a lot of damage to my Mawile, so I can't really switch that in either. Yeah, this is kinda tough. I could go for the knockoff on his Lando, but is it going to help me? Yeah, I think I'll just... Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I screwed up. Yeah, I couldn't switch anymore. Okay, so we timed out there. Really unfortunate. But I went for the Sucker Punch and Earth Power apparently, which wouldn't have been too bad, I suppose. So we don't look too dumb here. But yeah, I actually wanted to switch into Mawile, and that would have been a lot better, I guess. But that didn't happen, so right now we have to come up with a way to come back here. And it'll be pretty difficult. So, I'm thinking Tailwinding and switching into Mawile will ensure that Tailwind goes up, but Origin Pulse plus Rock Slide will KO both of my mons, and then I'm just done for. So instead, I will protect Yveltal and sack off Mawile, and then Groudon will come in. Now, I really wish that I didn't time out that turn and went into the Mawile, because then we would have been in just like so much of a better position. We could have just, I don't know, like we could have even switched out into Groudon with Yveltal and gone for the play rough on the Kyogre, and then there's like not like I don't think there was anything he could have done about that. But right now he will just be able to KO Mawile on the switch in, which is very unfortunate. Also, yeah, like the whole thing about miscounting turns of Tailwind led to that position where I was not sure whether I could just go for it or not, but yeah, it's still difficult if you like doing commentary, but yeah, that shouldn't really be an excuse for doing such a mistake, so I sincerely apologize for that. As he reveals the Scald on his Kyogre, which is definitely interesting, not too common I would say, probably the first one I saw so far. So yeah, we do get up out weather, but yeah, we're still in a losing position. Now, I think the one thing we have to do right here is set up Tailwind, and do we even need to set up Tailwind? Yeah, we could go for KOs right now. Yeah, it depends on how fast this Kyogre is though. Maybe we're slower actually with Groudon. So I could set up Tailwind and go for the Eruption. But then after that Groudon is completely useless, because against Thundurus and Landorus we can't do anything if he switches in Kyogre. But I think that's our plan right here. So we hope he switches back Groudon, and maybe we can avoid Rock Slide, which would be nice. But let's see. So I could have gone for an attack the last turn, and he actually just protects Groudon. I think that is a mistake, because if we get up Tailwind right now, but Rock Slide hits our Yveltal, Should be able to take that though, but we will faint from one, like after the next hit we'll faint due to the life orb. And Eruption almost takes it out, but Yveltal flinches here, and that is definitely game. Now if we got up Tailwind, I think we would have still had a great chance of winning this game. I mean, then he definitely has to switch out his Kyogre, but we could go for a knockoff on the Kyogre and Eruption. That would knock out... but that also would knock out ourselves. But yes, now it's definitely game. And I don't think there's anything we can do. I mean, I can still go for the Sucker Punch on the Lando. And potentially, I don't know, Earth Power crit KO him or anything. Yeah, but he might just switch into Thunderous. Yeah, that was dumb. Yeah, that was dumb. So, we lose the first game of this best of 3 set to iZocker. But yeah, he played well. We made a big mistake there, or I made a big mistake. You really didn't have anything to do with that. But looks like we take this we have to take this loss here, and now we could try and find out speed stats between Kyogre and Groudon, and we could try and see whether he has roleplay on his. We could have tried to see whether he had roleplay on Thunderous. Maybe that's why he didn't switch out the Kyogre the turn before. So maybe that makes some kind of sense now. But yeah, we'll just see. I'm guessing it has to be roleplay because he didn't switch out the Kyogre when he could have. He goes for the Thunderbolt actually. So. And Kyogre is faster, so Groudon would have been able to take the 1v1 versus Thunderous, or he just didn't want to reveal any more moves. That could also be the case. But we lose this first game, and now yeah, we have to win the remaining 2 to advance here. But yes, let's see if we are able to do that. I could split those up into several videos, or I could just keep going. Yeah, I think I'll just keep going. So, let's see. If we lose, then it's one like short video, but if we win and it goes to the third game, then it will be like a very long video. So, staring down the same things. Now, he didn't bring Yveltal, which was kind of interesting because it allowed our Yveltal. He didn't bring Xerneas, which allowed our Yveltal to, yeah, maneuver much more freely. And but the double Intimidate was really annoying to deal with. So he had a few spread moves, but he had Scald on his Kyogre, which was interesting. I mean, he only really had one spread move, which was in his Lando. So Togekiss could come in handy right here. I think mainly it comes down to whether we manage to get Groudon into a good position where he cannot really do anything with his Kyogre anymore. But how are we going to achieve that is the question. I liked Liepard Yveltal and it put on a lot of pressure, but once he switched in Mawile, that was really difficult. We could just go for the same again. And we could try to go for like knockoffs now instead of Sucker Punches. Yeah, but Liepard did a good job, and I want to bring it again. And I also liked the fact that Yveltal with its Dark Aura, yeah, it put on a lot of pressure on my opponent. Yeah, I could actually lead with Mawile. Yeah, but I want him to lock into Earthquake. Into Rocksteady and not Earthquake. So I'm not sure. I'm going with the same 4, but I think if this goes well and we manage to get to a third game, I could potentially see myself bringing something different. But I'm expecting him to probably switch things up right now, and maybe he goes for the Gengar mode. But nope, once again we do see Landorus and Thundurus right here. So it looks like he is pretty confident in that, and feels like that winning the first game wasn't a fluke or anything. So that is interesting. Now he gets off the Intimidate, which is annoying on the Yveltal. And yeah, maybe we should switch to another set with Foul Play once again, because I think Foul Play would be really nice here. Now last time I went for Fake Out and Tailwind, Is there a good reason to switch things up is my question. Yeah, I think Tailwind was kinda nice. But I think I could also go for Fake Out and knock off onto that Landorus. So we would get rid of that Choice Scarf, and he stays in this time. And we do get the Fake Out, which crits actually. And he went for some priority move. Goes for the Rock Slide, does some nice damage to both my mons, but we do get off the knockoff, and that also does some nice damage. Ooh, but it was actually Choice Band and not Choice Scarf. Wow, how could we miss that? Yeah, that did so much damage. I really should have caught on to that. Now, if you saw the first video and you were thinking, wow, this guy is stupid, this is obviously Choice Band, then good job, but you for some reason failed to see that. Because of the U-turn, probably. Yeah, because he went for U-turn. But yeah, U-turn makes perfect sense on Choice Band. So I played that totally wrong. I could have just gone for like a foul play initially on the Lando instead of trying to, I don't know. But okay, so yeah, that is kind of late now, but we finally realized that. Now the question is, how do we capitalize on it? I mean, he can't do much with his Landorus right now. Maybe he just lets it drop. And then he could go for like a Thunderbolt on the Evoltal, which with his Thundurus. So I could switch into my Groudon, but then he would bring in his Kyogre and that would be annoying. But yeah, I think we will try to go for the knockoff on his Thundurus right now and predict him to go after the Leopard. But he actually switches into Mawile. Yeah, now some way to change the weather for me would be really nice. He gets off another Intimidate and he goes for the Taunt. Okay, so got it right this time. No Thunderbolt. I'm not sure what the Taunt was about. I'm guessing he could have just gone for the T-Bolt, but maybe he's pretty slow. So Foul Play does some nice damage on Mawile and knock off one-hit KOs Thundurus even without a critical hit. Wow. I was at -2 and he was Focus Sash, which is interesting. So I was at -2 and Yveltal is just so powerful, or Thundurus is so weak, depending on how you want to see it. But anyway, we got into this really nice position right now, and I'm thinking that there is not too much he can do anymore, because he brings out Kyogre, but we can switch into Groudon, and I don't think he has a great way of punishing that. So I kinda just want to switch out into my Groudon and go for the Foul Play probably. I also do have a Mawile in the back, which is kinda nice. So I can go for the Foul Play on the Kyogre and just switch into my Groudon, I guess. Even if he doubles up into that with, I don't know, Iron Head or Play Rough and Ice Beam, I should be able to take that relatively well. And that would also mean that we would get off that Foul Play on the Kyogre, which deals quite a bit of damage, even after Yveltal is out of the picture and there's no Dark Aura boost anymore. But he decides to switch back into his Lando and sack his Landorus, so he can bring in Kyogre again, which is a reasonable play. But I don't think it will help him too much here, because we still have another Pokemon in the back, even if he manages to KO Leopard this turn. Unless, of course, he goes for the Sucker Punch and takes me out. Now, if he Sucker Punches with Mawile and takes out the Leopard, that would be a very good play, but I'm not sure if that would KO. But it might. So, yeah, that would really be the play to keep him into this game, but let's see what will happen. So he Mega Evolves, which is what he has to do, no Protect or anything. And he goes for the Sucker Punch, but on the wrong target, so to say. So he tried to go after the Yveltal, but yeah, we take out his Lando, and right now I'm just in a fantastic position. I will anchor the mobile the next turn just for the sake of it, but he'll probably, or I could even taunt. Could even taunt the Kyogre probably. But yeah, all I have to do right now is keep Groudon healthy, and then we should be able to win this game. Yeah, I think I'll just anchor the mobile into Sucker Punch, so that he won't be able to attack next turn. And then we could switch into Mawile, or we could switch into Voltal. Now, what is safer? I think switching into Mawile is probably safer. Or, yeah, you know what? Switching into Voltal is safer. Because having Groudon and Mawile together on the field puts more pressure on him. And Yveltal is low anyway. So he will Scald there, I will get this, but he just forfeits, okay. So he realized that there was no way for him to come back, and looks like we will have the third game, GG at this point, and now let's see what will happen in the final game. Will we be able to advance to the semifinals, or will it be iZocker who does so? I'm really liking the feel of this team, but I think that Yveltal definitely has to be changed somehow. Maybe I could go back to a more bulky set with Foul Play, or I could just drop it entirely. I'm also not too sure about like the whole Togekiss, Crobat, and Liepard supporting engine, like because those are a lot of supporters. I'm not sure if this is like the perfect way to play this game. And looking at his team, he doesn't have a single like design supporter. I mean, sure, he has Thunderous, but it has Focus Sash, so probably also like offensive. And yeah, I don't know. Like if you look at both our teams together, I will. Here you can see the bottom screen. Like, just check out how, I don't know, like frail my mons are. Like Crobat, Liepard. I mean, Togekiss is not frail, but it doesn't do much offensively. And then yeah, I'm not really sure. I like his team a lot, I think. But so we got the victory there. Now let's think again. We know that he is choice banned on his Lando, which is great information. And I think going with the same stuff actually like is better with what we just learned right now, because we can go for the Foul Play turn 1, and if I am not mistaken, Foul Play could even have a good chance of knocking him out right away. So if he leads with Lando, I will just go for the Foul Play and knock off his Thunderous and not even bother going for a Fake Out. Because Foul Play should knock out his Lando. It does a lot of damage to anything on his team, and by going with Fake Out, we basically allow him to get off a free attack, and yeah, we don't want that. So let's see what will happen. I'm really glad we went for the knock off the last turn. Also, getting to know Focus Sash on Thunderous is pretty neat, and he switches things up. He probably realized that, oh wow, now he knows my stuff. And he goes with Kyogre and Mawile. Now, now the like most obvious thing in the world would probably be to switch out into Groudon to get rid of the rain, set up Sun, threaten the Mawile. But I could see him just switching out right away. Maybe he predicted us to lead with Groudon, and he wanted to get up. Oh no, we undersped him the one time we were both on the field, so his high career is faster. So I'm not really sure what he thought right here, but yeah, I think just going for the Fake Out on the Mawile and switching into Groudon could be really nice. I could even just go for a Foul Play, to be honest, on his Kyogre to deal some damage. You know what? I'll go for the Foul Play and switch into my Groudon. Now, if he stays in and goes for any attack, he'd probably Ice Beam. We'd get off some nice damage on the Kyogre, and then Groudon will have a better, like an easier time sweeping once, yeah, we remove that Kyogre. So let's go. Groudon sets up the Sun. Yeah, the worst thing that could happen is, I don't know, like Ice Beam and play rough in that slot, but we should be able to take that relatively well. And yeah, these animations, I'm sure we'll see them at least a couple of more times. And he withdraws Mawile, goes back into Thunderous. So that thing possibly does have roleplay. And we got off the foul play on the Kyogre. So some damage, Water Spout, nice. So he predicted us to, yeah, just go for like a fake out probably on the Mawile and like a Tailwind or something like that. And he took the risk, but yeah, switching into Groudon prevents that. However, by also switching into Thunderous, he made sure that he had a plan B, which would be to roleplay right here. Now, if we didn't see the Focus Sash, I don't know, like, if it was Citrus, then I would probably taunt the Thunderous right here. However, we already saw that he is Sash, so I'm guessing this is max speed Thunderous and that he will be faster. So, yeah, roleplay seems like the obvious play right here. So I kinda want to prevent that, but I can't. So I have to... I think I will go for the foul play on the Kyogre and switch into Yveltal. Now I'm not sure if this will knock it out, but even if we get hit, I don't want to lose Mawile already. I'm guessing he will go for a Scald, by the way, not Water Spout. But maybe he just also predicts us and just protects or switches out Kyogre. I'm not sure. And he protects. Okay, nice play on his end, so he didn't go for the roleplay after all. And Thunderbolts the Liepard instead. So yes, good play, and also it was revealed that he is fast since he just outsped us. So that is interesting information as well. Now we can Encore the Kyogre, but he could theoretically have Taunt on this Thunderous as well. Now we saw Thunderbolt and we didn't see anything else, did we? We saw Taunt, right? Yes, we saw Taunt. He taunted my Yveltal in one game. So, I could go for... what could I do? I could Encore the Kyogre into Protect, but I'm guessing it's obvious that he switches out here, and I'm thinking he might switch into Mawile. So what I want to do is just go for the foul play anyway, and for the knockoff probably onto his Thunderous. Yeah, I think we'll do that. I could have doubled up there as he withdraws Kyogre. I could have tried to set up the Tailwind, but depending on his moveset, I don't know, like if he's T-Wave, that would be annoying. If he taunted me, that would be annoying. So we just went for the knockoff to deal a lot of damage, and he went for the taunt. So nice. So he taunted me, but I will be able to get off that free foul play, free knockoff. Thunderous will be down to Sash after this, probably even after the -1, after how much that did in the second game. So yes, he's down to Sash, and we take Life Orb Recoil, but that foul play on the Mawile also did a lot of damage thanks to the Dark Aura ability. And yeah, we're just in a pretty decent spot, I would say. Now, we could go for another foul play with Liepard onto the Mawile, because if it Mega Evolves, it gets a lot more attack, but I'm not sure, it also gets more def, so that shouldn't knock it out. I could go for a Sucker Punch with my Yveltal onto his Thunderous in case he wants to T-Bolt me, and we do get a disconnect, and oh my gosh, I forgot to take out the bottom screen. So what is going on, everybody? We are back where we left. So we just reconstructed the situation and just did the same turns. I'm not sure if my HP matched to what they were before, but that doesn't really matter. So we are back here. Thunderous and Mawile are out. What did I want to do? I don't even remember. I think I wanted to switch into Groudon somewhere and go for another play rough. Foul play? Or I wanted to switch into Mawile. I'm not sure. So yeah, I could Encore him into Taunting. Yeah, this is a good play. I'll Encore him into Taunting, and then I'll go into Groudon. Okay, so My thought process here, bringing in Groudon against these two comes at no risk. If he goes for a Thunderbolt or something with his Thunderous, we will lock him into Taunt, so he cannot roleplay in the future, or I don't know, so he cannot Sucker Punch me. Yeah, I think going for the Anchor here is pretty free, as he went for the T-Wave. So we Anchor him into T-Wave, okay, and he cannot Thunderbolt us the next turn. And he also went for the Sucker Punch, so this went perfectly. Right now, I kinda want to... what do I want to do? I mean, I guess he will withdraw Thunderous, probably, into Kyogre. I think I will just stay in there with Groudon, go for the Foul Play, since he is forced to go for a T-Wave or switch out. And then I will Earth Power the Mawile in case he switches into Kyogre, that we will get rid of it. Now, he could switch out and go for like a Sucker Punch to take out the Liepard, but he just protects and will sacrifice his Thunderous, which is a reasonable play to make. However, next turn we can Encore his Mawile into Protect as well. So the position I played myself in is pretty advantageous, I would say, as we do get off the knockout onto his Thunderous, and our main idea, once again, just like in the second game, is to take out 2 of his Mons, and then we do have Groudon that should win us the game versus his Kyogre, if we get our weather up. And now he switches into his Kyogre, which is totally fine. He's already weakened a little bit, so Water Spout will not be as strong. And we can Anchor his Mawile right here. He could go for a Sucker Punch, since now after the Para, Sucker Punch would come off before the Encore, but then he'd be locked into Sucker Punch, and that is also not that great. So, yeah, I'll switch into Yveltal, I think. Or I could sack off my Mawile. I mean, in the end, it comes down to how well I can position Groudon, I believe. So... maybe it makes more sense to get rid of Mawile. Yeah, or I could just switch into Yveltal, really. I should be able to take a Scald. What do we do? Yeah, I think we'll sack Mawile. Yeah, since we're also faster, and he might have Lando in the back, and he could switch in Lando right now, so our Yveltal doesn't get intimidated. But let's see what he does. Maybe he just stays in with Mawile. So yeah, switching in this format is a lot about like not how do I switch, but what do I sack right here, because the attacks are just so powerful. And he switches into Lando, and I went in there to sack my Mawile, and I'm parried, but it doesn't matter. And he goes for the Water Spout anyway, so Yveltal would have been the better play then, but yeah, since plain Mawile is pretty weak defensively, Water Spout is just able to take us out right here, and now things get a little bit problematic as we are down to our last Mons, and now he has the advantage that we want to have, so maybe it would have been better to go into Yveltal initially, because that would have been able to live a hit, and then I could have switched in Kyogre, Groudon into the Kyogre, threaten out the Kyogre, KO'd the Mawile, and then called back Groudon, but he also could have attacked with Lando and so on and dealt a lot of damage, but yeah, just how things are, yes, we got now in a position where we cannot switch anymore, so I have to be very careful with how I move and what I do. However, our Yveltal is not intimidated, so that is nice. And I am thinking I will just go for the Earth Power on his Kyogre, and now it's either Tailwind or Knockoff on his Lando. I think Tailwind could be nice. Yeah, Tailwind could be helpful. Yeah, I think Tailwind is what I want to do here. So let's see, I'm guessing he will call back his Kyogre and switch into the Mawile. But his Lando could also have some surprise move, like he could try and go for Earthquake, but I'm not sure how good that would be. and he could also have like explosion, all kinds of stuff. But yes, so he goes into mobile and he goes for the explosion. Wow, so we I kinda called that. And since he is Joyce Bandit, that will do a lot of damage. But we can survive this with our Evoltal, and that should mean the victory. As we will be able to take out the mobile with Earth Power and set up the Tailwind. Oh my gosh, wow. Really powerful. So I'm guessing this is like Adamant max speed probably. My Evoltal is actually slower than that. So wow, the speed worked out perfectly for him in this game, and this did so much damage. I definitely have to run calcs on this, because I want to make sure that I always live that. Maybe that was a roll. So really clutch survival here by my Evoltal, and yeah, it was definitely worth playing out this game, even after that disconnect, because yeah, this was crazy. Now there is not anything left he can do. We can just go for the Sucker Punch. He has to attack. That might even just knock it out, and it does. So wow. Whew, strongest priority move in the game, I believe. Dark Aura's boosted Sucker Punch. Evoltal goes down to the Life Orb, but yeah, we don't care about this as much. It did its job, survived the explosion, get up the Tailwind, and that is game. So GG, good game, cool series. We lost the first game, but then we yeah, crawled our way back. Good game to Tim, and see you tomorrow for the semifinals, I would think. So thanks a lot for watching. Sorry for the disconnection thing, but I think I was able to edit it out. And yeah, if you like what you saw, make sure to leave a like or comment, and maybe even subscribe. And see you next time. Bye.